Join me today, friends, while I make a zucchini muffin. They are absolutely delicious, super moist, and a great way to use up those extra zucchini. Stay tuned. Hello friends, today I'm going to show you how to make a zucchini muffin. So we're going to put a little bit of a glaze on it, but if you want to keep that sugar down, you can totally omit that glaze. So they're super easy to make, just a nice way to use up those zucchinis that you may have an overabundance of in your garden. So if you're new here, my name is Andrea. This is Dessert First, and let's get started. Alright, so let's get started on our zucchini muffins. Now this is going to be a smaller batch, so if you're not wanting to make a massive amount, this should give you roughly maybe a half dozen or so. So we're going to start with 1/4 of a cup of room temperature butter, so that's going to be a half a stick of butter. And then to that, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And we're just going to kind of mix that in, kind of get that going. And then we're going to add 1 egg. And I'm just going to give this a little bit of a whisk before I add it in there. So that's nice and creamed together. Now we're going to add our buttermilk. So we've got 1/4 of a cup of buttermilk here. And then we're going to add some vanilla, and we're just adding a half a teaspoon. Okay. Now we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. So I'm going to put 1/4 in first. And then we're going to add part of our cup. And then I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. So that's going to go all in there. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then I have 1 cup of grated zucchini. So I'm going to put about half of that in. And we're going to add the rest of our flour. and then the rest of our zucchini. Now you could make these in just cupcake liners, or if you have muffin liners, then you can use that. So your muffin liners will definitely be a little bit bigger, so you'll have a little bit bigger muffins. And then I'm just going to use an ice cream scoop. Now I usually do 1 scoop for a cupcake liner, but I want to make sure all of these are nice and even first. Okay. And we'll just do So I'm going to put these in our oven. It's been preheated to 350 degrees, and we're going to bake them until they're done. We'll be right back. Okay, so our muffins are out of the oven, and I baked them for 33 minutes. So check them at 30, and just use a toothpick, just insert it in the center, and if it comes out clean, it's done. If it's still got some wet batter on there, leave it in just a little longer. So mine just needed a couple extra minutes, but they are done and they are cooling right now. So we're going to make just a little bit of a glaze to add to them. And like I said, they don't really necessarily need the glaze. So if you don't want the added sugar, then you can just omit the glaze. But we're going to add, so I've got 2 tablespoons of room temperature butter and a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. And we're just going to kind of mix this in a little bit. And I did not sift my powdered sugar. And then we're just going to add a little bit of vanilla, just 1/4 teaspoon. And then we're going to add, I'm going to start with just 1 tablespoon of cream. The amount of cream or milk, you could just use milk. You could use a plant-based milk as well, almond milk or soy, coconut, you know, whatever plant-based milk you would like. So it's just going to depend on how thin you want it. So I'm going to add probably another tablespoon because I want this to be a little thinner. That's a nice consistency, because if we put these on while they're still warm, it is going to just kind of melt. But we're going to let it set and cool for probably 10 minutes or so, because right now they're super hot. So all right, so our muffins have cooled down for a little bit. They're still warm, but we're going to go ahead and add this. It's going to kind of melt on there, and then as they completely cool down, the glaze will kind of set up. So kind of think of it as like a glazed donut. So we're just going to kind of put some of this on here. All right, and there you have it, my zucchini muffins. So So let's see. These are going to be really messy because it's not set up. Let's cut this in half. Super moist. Look at how nice and moist that is. So let's give it a taste. That is really good. So the muffins themselves are not very sweet, just a little bit. So if you're really watching that sugar, just leave the glaze off and you'll have a really not so sweet muffin. But the texture is just amazing. It's very moist. It's really good. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and share it. Leave me a comment if you've got questions. And we'll see you next time.